Have you ever walked into a place and suddenly felt something strange? Not exactly fear, and not really excitement either, but something much weirder, a feeling that quietly whispers inside your head that you've already lived through this exact moment before. You know the place, you know the conversation, you feel like you know what happens next, and at the same time you also know that this should be impossible. And for a few strange seconds, reality itself starts feeling broken. That feeling has a name: déjà vu. Almost everyone experiences it at some point in life. But here's the question almost nobody stops to ask. What if déjà vu isn't simply a random brain error happening for no reason? What if your mind is accidentally revealing something that it normally keeps hidden from you? Because when scientists finally started studying déjà vu seriously, they discovered something far more disturbing than most people expected. Your brain might actually be creating reality in a way that is completely different from what you imagine. Right now, while you are watching this video, your brain is doing something extraordinary. It isn't simply observing reality, it's actively constructing it. Every second, every image that reaches your eyes, every sound that reaches your ears, every memory that appears in your mind, your brain receives incomplete information and continuously builds a version of reality that feels stable and continuous. But sometimes, that process fails, and that's exactly where things begin to get strange. Researchers estimate that around 2/3 of all people experience déjà vu at least once during their lives. Some experience it constantly, others experience it only a few times. But almost everyone remembers the feeling, because it feels deeply unsettling, because for a brief moment reality itself feels wrong. Imagine watching a movie, while suddenly the projector accidentally shows the exact same frame twice. For a split second your brain notices something strange happening. That is one of the theories behind déjà vu. Some neuroscientists believe your brain accidentally processes the same information twice. The first processing happens unconsciously without you noticing. Milliseconds later, your conscious mind receives that same information again. Your brain compares the two signals, and suddenly the experience feels familiar, even though it shouldn't. At first, this sounds simple, but it becomes much stranger, because researchers discovered something unexpected. Déjà vu happens more frequently when people are tired, stressed, sleep-deprived, emotionally overloaded, or mentally exhausted. Why does that happen? Because your brain becomes more likely to create tiny synchronization errors. Your reality machine becomes less precise, and small glitches begin to appear. Think about what that actually means. Your entire sense of reality depends on billions of neurons firing with almost perfect timing. Billions of them, every single second. And somehow this incredibly fragile biological machine still manages to convince you that reality is stable. Maybe the surprising thing isn't that déjà vu happens. Maybe the surprising thing is that reality feels normal at all. But there is another theory, and this one feels even more unsettling. Some researchers believe déjà vu may actually involve memory systems activating incorrectly. Your hippocampus helps store memories. Your temporal lobe helps process familiarity. Normally these systems cooperate perfectly. Sometimes they don't. Your familiarity system accidentally activates, and suddenly your brain tells you something strange. I've seen this before. Even when no memory actually exists, your brain creates certainty without evidence. Now stop and think about something. How many other feelings work exactly like that? Confidence, fear, attraction, trust. How much of what feels absolutely real is simply your brain generating signals? That is where déjà vu begins to feel uncomfortable, because it reveals something much deeper. Your experience of reality is not reality itself. Model. A simulation. A prediction. Your brain continuously predicts what is about to happen next. Then it compares those predictions with incoming information. Most of the time, those predictions work perfectly. Sometimes they don't. And when prediction systems fail, you may experience something incredibly strange. There are people who experience déjà vu so frequently that daily life itself becomes difficult. Imagine having dozens of moments every day where reality constantly feels repeated. Some patients with neurological conditions describe entire conversations feeling pre-recorded, entire days feeling recycled. This became especially interesting when scientists began studying epilepsy patients. Many people with certain forms of temporal lobe epilepsy experience intense episodes of déjà vu before seizures occur. Researchers eventually realize something important. Artificial stimulation in certain parts of the brain can trigger feelings of familiarity. That means something extraordinary. The sensation of certainty itself can be artificially created. Your feeling of having experienced something before may simply be electrical activity, a pattern, a signal, nothing more. And even after hearing that, reality still feels solid. Here's where things become even more fascinating. Some psychologists argue that déjà vu may actually serve a purpose. Maybe it isn't simply a glitch. Maybe it's a diagnostic tool. Think about computer systems. Sometimes small errors reveal much larger functions operating underneath. Déjà vu may reveal how memory formation actually works, how prediction systems operate, how consciousness itself stitches together experience. Without glitches, we might never notice the machinery. And humans dislike noticing the machinery. We prefer believing that experience simply exists naturally. But consciousness is construction, and construction always leaves fingerprints. Now let's talk about the theory everybody secretly loves, simulation theory. Because whenever people hear the word glitch, they immediately start thinking, is broken? Movies love this idea. Internet culture loves this idea. Maybe we're living inside a simulation. Maybe déjà vu happens whenever code updates. Maybe timelines overlap. Maybe reality reloads itself. It sounds exciting. But here's something interesting. You don't actually need a simulation for reality to feel simulated. Your brain already functions like one. Your brain constantly creates internal models, predicts outcomes, generates expectations, corrects mistakes, builds worlds. You are already living inside a simulation, just a biological one. And maybe that is the strangest realization of all. The simulation isn't necessarily outside, it may already exist inside your skull. Let's try something. Remember your childhood bedroom. You can probably see it. Maybe the walls, maybe the furniture, maybe the window. But your bedroom isn't here right now. You're generating it, at this exact moment, from stored information. Your brain constantly creates worlds, past worlds, future worlds, imagined worlds, possible worlds. So when déjà vu happens, maybe what you're experiencing is a brief moment where you notice the construction process itself, a tiny crack, a glimpse behind the curtain. Here's something else that most people don't know. Young adults experience more déjà vu than older adults. Why that happens remains uncertain. Scientists still aren't completely sure. Maybe younger brains create more prediction errors. Maybe novelty creates more opportunities for familiarity signals. Maybe memory systems simply change over time. But it's interesting. The phenomenon peaks during periods when life feels fast, unpredictable, and chaotic. Almost as if your brain struggles more when reality becomes more complex. And complexity keeps increasing. More information, more stimulation, more screens, more noise. Maybe modern brains are constantly overloaded. Maybe glitches become unavoidable. Or maybe, you've already heard me say this before. See what happened there? Even now your brain automatically searches for patterns. Because humans are pattern machines. Sometimes they become too good at finding them. We see faces inside clouds, messages inside coincidences, meaning inside randomness. Déjà vu may simply be another example of that. Or maybe it isn't. Because despite decades of research, scientists still do not fully understand it. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes it fascinating. We experience something personally, repeatedly, powerfully, yet we still cannot completely explain it. Maybe that is why people remember their strongest déjà vu experiences forever. Because for a few seconds, the world stops feeling automatic. You notice your consciousness. You notice your perception. You notice the machinery. And once you notice it, you never completely unsee it. So the next time déjà vu happens, don't ignore it. Pay attention. Not because you're predicting the future. Not because reality is collapsing. Not because the universe is broken. But because for one strange moment, your brain accidentally reveals how fragile your experience of reality truly is. And maybe that is much stranger than any glitch in the Matrix. If this video made you question reality even a little, good. Because the strangest discoveries usually begin with uncomfortable questions. And now tell me something. What is the strongest déjà vu you've ever experienced?